Welcome to my interpretation of the spoon scene from The Matrix. When our mind becomes malleable, flexible, the spoon bends. It is the representation of our mind. The adult mind is rigid, so as it bends unpredictably, it becomes quirky, strange, as it is not the norm. A child's mind is more flexible and accepting of quirky, strange things. As such, the child has a better understanding of the mechanics within the matrix. As the spoon starts to bend, we see briefly the child's reflection, indicating it takes the child's mind for one to become flexible. We then see Neo's reflection bend. It is this opportunity of reflection that the illusion of the matrix begin to be revealed. It is not about seeing numbers. It is seeing the self capsulated within its confined space. The spoon, our mind, is only straight because we make it so, or decide it to be. Really, the spoon only exists because we choose it to exist. It could be any object, or no object if we wish. The point is, the interactive world is created based on what we think matters. You believe what you want to believe. Example, you pass someone in the street and think it's for a reason, but they might not have even been there. The lady in the red dress. When distracted from this state and caught off guard by interruption, the oracle is ready to see you. We go back to a restored order of structured expectations. The spoon snaps back to being straight and the lady in the red dress disappears. We call this normal, and it is our conventional way of thinking. A predictable state brings us comfort and a sense of being grounded within our reality. We consequently fear the unknown. The spoon therefore represents more than just our mind. It reflects our fears and our need for structure. We could also mention that without a spoon, a mind, it is harder for us to sustain our bodies. It is not the matrix that bends the spoon, it is our mind. As quoted, then you'll see it's not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself. The machines are not the ones who create the landscape for the mind. It is the narrator that can control what happens within the matrix. You go to a city, you expect to see buildings, and so you see buildings. You go to the countryside, you expect to see trees, and so you see trees. This is how Neo stops the bullets towards the end of the movie, having learned that he controls his environment, and it also explains why other people die. Just because a person knows the matrix is a projection, the body can't tell the difference and will follow perception unless it can truly make the distinction. Neo doesn't become the one until he has conviction, as illustrated when he fails the leap from the building. It is not easy to acknowledge this is only in the mind. To reject the established mind, now rigid, is practically a form of suicide, which is why Neo standing in front of bullets may seem crazy. What if he was wrong? His friends were telling him to get out of there because his defiance seemed virtually impossible. As a result, the rest of us prefer the presence of fear because then we can compartmentalize it. As such, it is integrated in us. When fear exceeds our ability of control, it is energized, it takes over, and can then have the power to kill us. We accept to die and consider it to be the normal course of consequence within the structure we have created, so the mind accepts the decision to die. I should remind people we are talking about a film. I'm not going to be liable for some idiot who wants to test a theory out with their life. The boy is teaching Neo he can manipulate the matrix, that he can control his mind. This is interesting as it treats the mind as a separate entity. Who you are is not your mind. Isn't that a brain scramble? Throughout this analysis, I've mentioned the matrix as being the mind, but perhaps more precisely, it is the ego of which I speak. The impact of understanding the spoon is it interferes with the machine's control. When someone is no longer serving the role they chose within the framework, they have gone rogue. The mind is no longer participating in accordance. The machines just extract fuel from whatever framework the human mind has constructed. This is the need for minds to be plugged in, to give the machines access. It is not about any mental prison, construction, or particular game of manipulation. It is about the participation. Aliens plugged into the machines would give the exact same result of what they're after. The individual's own mind is what directs their behavior. They are controlled by their own delusion. The machines essentially sit back unless something deviates from the norm. They're actually kind of lazy. But why expel energy when it's given away so freely? Although the mind created the environment it resides in, the rules it created, the morals, ethics, principles, etc., are the parameters the machines use to regulate the flow of energy they extract. The natural need for structure is what keeps you bonded, restrained, and under control. Despite how it sounds, this is a good thing. What the machines did was insert themselves in between to exploit. By eliminating the need of the middleman, the machines cannot interface with that person. By being free, they are not feeding the machines. The machine's influence has been rendered powerless. There is still structure, but it is now in the form of the real world. So learning to bend the spoon, or bend the mind, shows how little control the machines actually have. It is a control people hand over. Perhaps because children have this freedom, the machines don't seem that interested in them as a fuel. We see at the start of the scene, there are other spoons on the floor. Each person's mind, spoon, is a world of its own. As a collective, minds are woven together to form a congruent set of beliefs, a society, or a matrix of minds. Hence, you could rename the film as The Mind Collective. But it's not as catchy. Hope you enjoyed that. Next time you go to use a spoon, remember, it was made from someone's imagination.